Nobody abandons their goals because they're weak. They abandon them because self-discipline feels like suffering, and the brain interprets suffering as danger. That tight feeling in your chest when you open a blank document instead of scrolling, the quiet resistance before the gym, the low-grade anxiety when you check your bank account and know you should be investing instead of spending. It doesn't feel empowering, it feels like loss, and that's the part nobody explains. In modern life, especially in cities like New York, London, Toronto, or Sydney, discipline isn't optional. It's survival. Careers are competitive. Living costs are high. Opportunities move fast. If you hesitate, someone else steps forward. So we're told to wake up earlier, focus longer, save more, optimize constantly. But the discomfort you feel when trying to improve isn't a character flaw. It isn't laziness. It isn't a lack of ambition. It's your brain trying to protect you from psychological pain. Most advice fails because it treats resistance like weakness. Push through. Want it more. Outwork everyone. But resistance is rarely stupidity. It's protection. Your nervous system is designed to keep you safe, not to make you exceptional. And once you understand that, discipline stops being a personal defect and starts becoming a negotiation with your own biology. The brain hates uncertainty. It's 9:30 p.m. You told yourself you'd work on your side project. Maybe it's a certification to increase your income. Maybe it's writing. Maybe it's building something that could eventually free you from a job you've quietly outgrown. You open your laptop and suddenly you're exhausted. You weren't exhausted before, but now you are. Your brain offers softer alternatives. Just relax tonight. Start tomorrow. You deserve a break. That voice isn't laziness. It's protection. The nervous system prefers certainty. Scrolling is predictable. Streaming is predictable. Even staying in a job you dislike is predictable. Growth isn't. When you pursue discipline, you step into uncertainty. And uncertainty, to the primitive brain, resembles danger. Your brain doesn't measure long-term upside. It measures immediate safety. So discomfort appears as a warning signal, not because you're incapable, but because you're expanding beyond what feels familiar. Discipline is a form of loss. Every disciplined decision involves giving something up. When you save instead of spend, you lose immediate pleasure. When you choose the gym over staying home, you lose comfort. When you focus deeply instead of multitasking, you lose easy stimulation. And the brain feels losses more intensely than gains. Imagine a young professional earning well but choosing to invest aggressively rather than upgrade their lifestyle. Every transfer into long-term savings feels like deprivation. Friends travel. Friends dine out. Friends upgrade apartments. The disciplined path feels invisible. There's no applause for restraint. So discipline feels like small grief. You're mourning the comfort you didn't choose. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. The identity conflict. Sometimes discipline hurts not because of effort, but because it threatens identity. If you've always been the relaxed one, structure feels unnatural. If you've always been smart, becoming a beginner feels humiliating. If you've always been the dependable employee, risking entrepreneurship feels destabilizing. Growth quietly dismantles old versions of you. Think of someone respected in their corporate role who dreams of building something on the side. At work, they're competent. Outside of it, they're inexperienced. So they delay. They optimize minor tasks. They stay busy but avoid the real leap. Not because they lack ambition, but because protecting identity feels safer than rebuilding it. Discipline asks you to let parts of yourself dissolve. The ego interprets that as threat, so resistance intensifies. Why force backfires? Most productivity advice promotes aggression. Push harder, sleep less, grind more. But force only works temporarily. You can override your nervous system for a short season. Eventually, it retaliates. Burnout, binge scrolling, impulse spending, emotional fatigue. Not because you're weak, but because your system perceives constant pressure as danger. Discipline without psychological alignment feels like punishment, and humans instinctively avoid punishment. Sustainable discipline requires understanding, not hostility. The identity shift, the turning point. Here's the shift. Self-discipline is supposed to feel uncomfortable. It is controlled discomfort. Like lifting weights, the burn signals adaptation, not damage. When you feel resistance before deep work or financial responsibility, that sensation isn't proof you shouldn't act. It's proof you're crossing into unfamiliar territory. Instead of interpreting discomfort as a stop sign, see it as a doorway. The anxiety before reviewing your finances is the edge of responsibility. The boredom during focused work is dopamine recalibrating. The awkwardness of networking is identity expanding. Nothing is wrong with you. Your system is updating, and updates rarely feel smooth. When you understand that discomfort is a byproduct of expansion, not inadequacy, your relationship with discipline changes. You stop asking, why is this so hard? And start asking, what version of me is being built here? Rewriting your relationship with discomfort. Practical integration. Self-discipline becomes sustainable the moment it stops feeling like self-violence. The goal isn't to overpower your nervous system, it's to work with it. These aren't productivity tricks. They are psychological adjustments, ways to reduce internal friction so disciplined action feels safer. Number 1. Reduce the threat level. When you tell yourself, I need to transform my life, your nervous system hears instability. Massive goals trigger massive resistance. The brain doesn't evaluate ambition, it evaluates perceived risk. That's why vague commitments like, I'm going to get in shape or I'm going to build wealth feel overwhelming. Shrink the frame. Commit to 15 minutes of focused work. Review one financial statement. Send one application. Draft one paragraph. The smaller the container, the lower the threat response. Your nervous system relaxes because the cost feels limited. Think of someone wanting to pivot careers. If they focus on the entire transition, the uncertainty, income changes, networking pressure, they stall. But if tonight's task is updating one section of their resume, the mountain becomes a step. You're not lowering standards, you're lowering psychological resistance. And consistency grows from safety, not intimidation. Number 2, name the sensation instead of fighting it. Most people feel resistance and immediately convert it into identity. I'm lazy. I lack discipline. That interpretation creates shame, and shame intensifies avoidance. Instead, pause. Ask, what am I actually feeling? Is it fear of incompetence? Fear of raising expectations? Financial anxiety? Boredom from overstimulation? Labeling the emotion shifts you from reaction to observation. Instead of, I am failing, it becomes, I am feeling discomfort. Imagine sitting down to review your investments and feeling unease. Instead of closing the app, you say internally, this is financial anxiety. This is unfamiliar responsibility. The emotion doesn't disappear, but it becomes manageable. Observation reduces intensity, and reduced intensity makes action possible. Number 3, choose your discomfort consciously. Life will contain discomfort either way. The question is timing. There is the discomfort of discipline, saving, training, focusing, initiating difficult conversations, and there is the discomfort of stagnation, financial pressure, regret, unrealized potential, quiet resentment toward yourself. One is chosen and short-term. The other accumulates quietly over years. Picture 2 futures. In one, you avoid the discomfort of budgeting. You spend to avoid restriction. Years later, financial stress becomes constant background noise. In the other, you tolerate the small sting of restraint. You sit with delayed gratification. Over time, that discomfort transforms into stability and eventually freedom. You don't eliminate suffering, you allocate it. Discipline is the decision to experience manageable discomfort now instead of compounded discomfort later. And when you see it that way, discipline stops feeling like punishment. It becomes strategic discomfort, chosen suffering with direction. Integration, becoming the person who can tolerate discomfort. Self-discipline feels like suffering because it asks you to trade immediate comfort for long-term coherence. It asks you to tolerate uncertainty. It asks you to become slightly unfamiliar to yourself. Of course, that feels uncomfortable. But small, intentional doses of discomfort build quiet confidence. Each time you act despite resistance, your identity shifts subtly. You begin to see yourself as someone who can experience discomfort without retreating. And that identity compounds over time. Motivation fluctuates. Identity stabilizes. When you learn to sit with controlled discomfort, you stop fearing growth. You start trusting yourself within it. The next time discipline feels like suffering, don't interpret it as failure. Notice it. Understand it. You're not breaking, you're expanding. And if something in this shifted your perspective, even slightly, stay with that reflection. There's more depth to explore about identity, money, focus, and emotional resilience. Not through force, through clarity.